Talia asked, where is the best place to find deals? So on this week's Want to Know Wednesday, I want to take more time to go into that. But first, if you like the series Want to Know Wednesday, please subscribe to the channel. Every single Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. Central Time, we're coming to you, dropping a video, answering your questions, giving you the know-how so you can go out and build your net worth. Like the channel, share the channel, and leave a comment. Ask a question. We'll get the question answered in Want to Know Wednesdays. Maybe your question will be the primary question that we answer next week. Leave a question right now. I know you got one. All right, jumping into how we find deals. So for me, there's one way that, and you got to excuse the allergies today because I'm very congested from the pollen that's in the air this spring. But the thing that's worked best for me, which is what I'm going to go over in a second, on how I've been able to find all types of different size deals, different types of deals. But overall, the way that we have gotten to find our best deals, there's one method for that. There's a lot of different ways you can find deals, though. You got to pound the pavement. You got to drive neighborhoods. You can go running through neighborhoods. You can go walking through neighborhoods. You can pull up Google Maps and look at neighborhoods that way. And oftentimes you'll see bigger roofs, right? The bigger the roof, the more units you've probably got there, right? So that's what I still do. I still do Google Maps. I drive, I bike, I run, all of the above. When I see something that piques my interest and I'm in an area that I like, I make sure I drive a little extra in that area, in the neighborhoods, write down addresses that I like. Literally, I still do this today. I've done this dozens and dozens and dozens, probably hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times over the last 10 years. And as I go through those neighborhoods, I write down addresses that I want, and I add them to the database, right? So then what you're able to do is a method that I kind of do that I'm going to show you here on the computer that can basically get you the phone number of the person that you need to contact to start to have those conversations. And then it just becomes a sales process, right? Before I dive into that and, digging up your own leads, you have got to be able to get out and tell your story of, what you've done, what you're doing, and what you are going to do, right? Because if you don't make the world aware and other people aware and your network aware of what you're trying to do, you're going to limit your success in anything that you do. And that includes buying and finding real estate deals. So you cannot be bashful. When you're around other people and they ask, hey, what do you do? Tell them what you've done, tell them what you do, tell them what you are doing, right? And if you don't even have a building yet, that's okay. Say, I'm looking to buy my first apartment building. I'm looking to buy my first duplex. I'm looking to buy my first 4 unit. I'm looking to buy 8 unit, 16 unit, 160 unit, 1,662 units if that's what you're trying to find. Let people know that's what you're trying to do, because you're going to be amazed at how much other people truly want to see you succeed. And they will lead you to someone that might have a 4 unit that they want to sell directly to you with no broker involved. They might have a duplex. They might have a house that you can flip. They might have a 16 unit. They might know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that has the 1,600 units that you're trying to buy. But if you don't share that with other people, that's the first tip, because if you don't share that with other people and make it known to the world what you want, you very much put yourself into a corner and make it very difficult on yourself, because now you're just leaving it up to chance and luck that you stumble across something. I'm very intentional that I tell people what I've done, what I do, and what I am going to be doing when it comes to, so I can get more investors, so I can find more deals, so I can add more employees, so we have a better team here. I'm always very intentional in telling people that for a reason. It's why I do all this content and Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. I'm not doing it because I just like to do it. I'm doing it because I know it's going to help me build my business. I know it's going to help attract the properties and the assets that we need to buy. I know it's going to help attract the people that we want to work with us. I know it's going to attract investors who want to invest with us over the long term. So be very intentional. I'm very intentional with very rarely, yes, all these videos we do completely pretty much unscripted, right, Danny? Danny knows that. Yeah, very, very unscripted, but I'm very intentional with the message that I want to get out. I'm very intentional with the content that we create. I'm very intentional with sharing my story with everybody. I don't care if it makes other people uncomfortable and they no longer want to be around me. That's okay, right? That's okay, because what I've found is that those people just kind of leave my life for now, but when it does matter to them, when they want to know how to buy real estate, when they do want to invest, they come back around because I initially shared with them what I do, even though they didn't necessarily want to hear it. You got to share what you want to do so that the world can give you things in return. Don't be quiet about it. Share what you want to do. Rant done. But all right, jumping back into this, right? These 372 units that we close tomorrow. This right here is exactly pretty much how I found them. So what I do is I open up Google, right? So I open up Google. I just open up Google because that's where it automatically takes me to when I actually open up Chrome. Okay, so I open up Chrome, it takes me to Google. I go to apartments.com, or it could be, Google Maps. How do I get to Maps? Let's see here. googlemaps.com. Let's see, maps.google.com, right? So one of the two, right? And if I want to look at Madison, Wisconsin, I'll go like this. But somehow I got to find an address. So that can be through apartments.com. It can be through Google. It can be because you're driving. It can be whatever you want, right? And now let's just say I'm either driving in this neighborhood in Madison, or I'm looking on maps. I'm like, oh man, I really want to figure out who owns this Elka Lane Apartments right here. I'm doing this just fresh out of, so I don't even know what the result's going to be here, but we're going to find out because I'm going right to Elka Lane Apartments in Madison right now on apartments.com to figure out the address, figure out a little bit more about the building. Hey, this looks appealing. Okay, how many units we got here? Do we get a unit count on apartments.com? Let's see, scrolling. 72 units built in 1987. Hey, this might be a deal that I'll actually buy right now if I find all the right information on it. All right, well, here's the address. So now I have the address. Here's the next thing that I got to do. This is what's going to be a little bit different depending on what market you are in. 90% of the markets that you're in, you're going to be able to find this. All right. So for Madison, Wisconsin, Madison is located in the county of Dane. Dane County has a website that basically has all the tax parcels on a map, and I can basically click on different tax parcels. I can enter addresses and then end up finding out who the owners of those addresses are. So you find the address, and if you're in Wisconsin, you go to Access Dane, this website that I'm about to go to. If you're in a different, county, if you're in a different state, you just gotta Google. Again, anything can be found. You can find it in 10 seconds if you're in Florida, if you're in South Carolina, if you're in Tennessee, if you're in Indiana, if you're in Michigan. You gotta use a little bit of effort here, and you gotta go to Google, and you gotta find it. But we're gonna go to Access Dane. I'm going to select address right here. I'm going to take this address right from the walk that I went on, right from the drive that I went on, right from looking at Google Maps, or in this scenario, I'm looking at apartments.com. I'm going to take this address and I'm going to put it in right here just like this. Let's see if I can find it. I don't know. Maybe it's not going to come up. Elka Lane right here, 2002 Elka Lane, Dane County. Here it is. All right, so now I've got the parcel number up. I've got the owner name, right? So right here is the owner name, right? Now this owner name might be Elka Lane Apartments LLC. It could be 123 LLC. It could be Jimbo LLC. It doesn't matter. It's just we need to know the owner name. It could be an individual person's name. Now, if it's an individual person's name, it's easy because you go to the next step. You just skip the rest of this if it's an individual person's name. If it's not an individual person's name, and if it's in an entity or a trust or an LLC, what you're going to have to do at that point is, again, this is a little bit different depending where you're at. But if you're in Wisconsin, what you have to do is Google Wisconsin corporates. You go to the .org website and you're able to search corporate records. So now I can take this Elka Lane Apartments LLP. It'd be funny if the owners of this property watch this show. And I click search. And what happens now is now it comes up. Oh, look at entity name. Here's the entity. It was registered, effective date was May 15th, 1997. All right, let's click on this. We click on it. Now we're going to find the registered agent in the registered agent's office. So if you Google any of my properties, most of the properties, if you do this process with any of my properties, some of these might actually have my name, but I think recently we've been having my attorney's name be in there. So with this though, right here with this registered agent, Rose, that might be an attorney of the actual owner, or it might be the property manager of the actual owner, or it might be an employee who takes care of these types of things with entities of the actual owner, or it could be the actual owner. My guess, if I look at this in these pictures and the age of this building, my guess is that's probably the actual owner, not the attorney, not the property manager. That's probably the actual owner, but the size of the deal, whatever. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to copy and paste Rose's name into whitepages.com. Guys, you can get a professional version of White Pages, or not professional, it's called Premier Member. I'm a Premier Member of White Pages because I pay White Pages $4.99 a month, every single month, to keep my whitepages.com subscription up so that I can copy and paste Rose's name into the people search. And it did give me an address too, right? So it gave me an address. She's in Verona, Wisconsin. So now I can do her first name. I can enter that in here. I can enter her middle initial. I can enter her last name. And I can enter Verona, Wisconsin, so that it doesn't pull up some different Rose from Los Angeles, California, or Newport Beach, California. Let's see what comes up here for Rose. I press search. Uh-oh. Waiting. All right, this finally loaded. Now here's the thing with White Pages. Sometimes you have a lot of people and they might have gone by a different name, whatever. Now this person here, you can see both of them are age 67, so maybe this is the same person, whatever. Now, I don't have the subscription with White Pages that gives me like a full background report and stuff. I don't need that. I just need the phone number, baby, because I want to give them a call to see if they want to sell their property. So I'm going to click the phone number, right? Because that's what I want to find, right? And here we go, phone number. Okay, now sometimes it gives you one number, sometimes it gives you 3, sometimes it gives you 8. Here's the game. You start dialing the phone. Usually you're going to want to do the one that says primary home, primary cell. I always start with the primary cell, then I go to primary home, then I go to this other one, and if there's other ones listed here, I just start dialing down the list. Basically, this is what I say at this point in the game, is I say, if I dial the number, okay, 608, ring, 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 and Rose answers and says, hello, and I'm going to be like, hi, Rose, this is Justin with Spaulding Group, how are you? And then I just stay quiet, and usually they're like, I'm good, and they like, do I know you, whatever, and then I'm like, usually the very next thing that I say is, oh, I'm Justin with Spaulding Group, we own and operate 1,354 apartments in South Central, Southeastern Wisconsin, just wondered if you wanted to sell the property Elka Lane in the next, between now and the next 5 years. And then I'd be quiet. Sometimes I don't say the word sell, and sometimes I'll say, hey, by chance, do you want to let go of Elka Lane apartments between now and the next 5 years? Because sometimes some of these old school owners who are mom and pop, they hear the word sell and they're very possessive when it comes to their assets and they're very emotionally tied to them. Obviously, we all know we want to buy it today. But again, I want to kind of remove some of that pressure from the system. I'm some stranger calling them. I want to remove the pressure from the system, and I want to try to remove their wall of anxiety, which is why I remove the word sell, and which is why I say between now and the next 5 years. Because if they don't want to sell now, odds are she's 67. She might want to sell in the next 5 years because she'll be 72 by then. I mean, she might want to sell now. Me giving that 5-year window versus just saying, are you looking to sell your property now? Like, give it that 5-year window of option. It gives them a second to think about, like, yeah, I between now and the next 5 years, I probably would. There's a lot likelier chance of her selling between now and the next 5 years versus just right now, right? And so if I get someone on the phone, I just want to talk to them and keep them on the phone, right? Hey, and then at some point, I'd love to set up an appointment with them, whether it's at the property, whatever, if they're interested. If you get a voicemail, then I just simply say, hey, this is Justin with Spaulding Group calling. We own and operate 1,354 apartment units in South Central Wisconsin. Want to know if between now and the next 5 years, you'd be looking to let go of your property. And then, and we'll talk soon. Thank you. Bye. So that's what you do right there. That's the game. Now, here's where people give up. Literally, that's how I got the 372 units that we're closing tomorrow. A $42 million deal from that right there. Literally right there. I called the guy. I had to call him like 4, 5, 6 times. Then finally I got a hold of him. He said, well, we're kind of going through a transition, whatever. And finally then he ended up basically giving the properties to someone else in his family because he was older. He got me that, phone contact information. And I just went from there and I did this. And literally, so in the last 7 months, I made this deal happen. 372 units that were closing tomorrow, $42 million deal because of doing this right here. Right? But that's also how I found another, 8 unit. That's how I found some storage unit. That's how so I've found numerous deals doing this. So it's one way that you can start, but now you got to be able to call. You got to add. So what I do is I take this information and I add it to an Excel database that I have which is a whole different video potentially at some point. And it's my database. I put this address of this property in, the name of the property, how many units it is, what year it was constructed, the owning entity, LLC name, the name of the owner and the contact information of the owner so that I can continuously keep calling that person over the next 3 months, over the next 6 months. And again, like if they say, hey, stop calling me, take me off my list, like, okay, take them off that list. Don't call them again next week. Don't call them again next month. Call them in like 6 months. Like give a little bit of time. I never remove someone from my database, ever. If they say stop calling, I just don't call them very often. And you know what? I haven't had anyone, believe it or not, Danny, I haven't had anyone put a restraining order on me yet, right? So you just kind of adjust it, but that's the key thing is you can't just call Rose one time about Elko Lane Apartments and assume that you're going to get the deal. You got to be able to do that and pick up that phone. There's been deals that I haven't got still that I've just finally gotten in touch with the owner after calling for 10 years. 10 years. But you know what? Picking up the phone, and maybe I have, let's say it's 30 seconds per call by the time that it, rings and goes to voicemail, whatever. Let's say it's 15 to 30 seconds per call. And if I call them 10 times a year, all right, so I'm in a total of 200 seconds, which is 3 minutes a year, multiplied by 10 years. Okay, so I've got 30 minutes invested in calling this person over the last 10 years. But that 30 minutes is completely worth it when we do close that $150,000 deal, if I'm just starting, or that, $200 million deal if I'm a little bit further down the line because it's 10 years from now, right? Makes it completely worth it. Now, the more that you can do this, the better. Yes, it takes a little bit of time, especially getting that first initial database set up correctly, but it's the amount of benefit it's brought myself, my family, our investors, completely worth it. Then obviously you have your more traditional ways of, finding deals, right? Connecting with property managers, connecting with other owners, connecting with brokers. The best way to get more deals to come to you is be a closer. Like get deals under contract and close on them because that means the seller's getting paid, the broker's getting paid, people are getting paid, product's moving. When you are the catalyst to the equation that makes things moves and gets people paid, you're going to be at the top of other people's minds when they stumble across someone looking to sell a building, right? When, for example, we've numerous times now, we have done deals where we'll buy it from the seller. I don't go back and renegotiate with the seller. I don't make it, there's some things that, yes, we do make hard on sellers sometimes, I think, but I don't make it too hard on sellers. They overall have a really good experience. And they see how we do things. They know we're professionals. And so a lot of times building owners know other building owners, right? And so we've actually had sellers that, number one, have wanted to invest with us in future deals, and because of how we treat them. And number two, they've also referred us to other people who have 100 units that they're looking to sell, 800 units that they're looking to sell, 400 units that they're looking to sell, 40 units that they're looking to sell, right? So be a closer. Go out and make action, make things happen by taking action, and you're going to send a ripple through the world. And like you're the epicenter of the ripple, more things are going to come back to you because of that. If you sit there, if you don't share with people what you're trying to do, no one can help you. If you're going to sit there and not take action, people aren't going to benefit off those actions. People are less likely to help you, right? So be the epicenter of the ripple, go out and take action. These are some great tips that you can go out and get your first deal. And this all could work in a business too, by the way. This doesn't even just have to be real estate. This is great advice right here. Again, the most underrated YouTube channel on the planet right here, Justin Spaulding page. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Every Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. Central Time, we're dropping tips like this, Want to Know Wednesdays. Share this channel with other people who you think would get a benefit. Don't just share it to spam them, but people that you truly think would get a benefit, man, tag them here. Let them know how cool we are over here. Yeah, excited to see you next time.